what you are saying that you are making money out of people's poverty, right?
Let's put it.
And you put it like that. Now, as I know my fellow filmmakers,
Poverty or misery?
Poverty or misery, making films on people's misery. Now, as I know my other friends who make documentaries, who could be slaughtered the way you are putting it, as people who make money out of other people's poverty/misery. The thing is that most of them themselves are not very economically sound people. Let's start, a middle class person, given all the choices in front of you, you choose to become a documentary filmmaker. Anybody will tell you that documentary filmmaking as a profession in India today, given our context, is not a very viable, regular income situation. See, already you're deciding to do a thing which is not that lucrative, so to speak, right? Then you go and in search of a subject. You might think that it's misery, but when you say that documentary filmmakers are making money on people's poverty and misery, that means it's a trend. A lot of people are doing that. You're sort of categorizing it like that. That means a lot of people are doing it. So therefore, you don't know at that point, given your own economic disability, and you venturing into this project where you have to spend money to do it. It's not as if it's happening free. You'll have to pay for the camera, you have to pay for the transportation, the food, the people. You're spending money on somebody's misery. But there are many people selling people's misery. So you don't know whether that misery is going to sell or not. And you already put so much of money in it. So there you're risk taking all the time in the face of misery, so to speak. So by the end of it, in most documentaries, given this situation, who's more miserable, the subject or the filmmaker? By the end of it, in most cases, the filmmaker is more miserable than the people, in this kind of a situation. That's the reality of it. You are thinking that you are going and putting your camera and you are making that film. If that person is not allowing you to make that film is not going to happen. So that person is allowing you to make that film and you are making that film. So it is a negotiation between the two of you. It's an understanding between the two of you. How many people can reach that understanding? And if you are trying to tell me that that person, because he's poor and miserable, is foolish, I won't believe you. Nobody is foolish. So that it is through a series of transactions and negotiations that you finally put your thing there. It's not like a dumb animal that you have to shoot kar liya kisi ka misery or bech diya bahut bada. It's not that simple. Yeah. You're personally having to go through many risks before you can actually put it up there. And people you are calling miserable and poor are not fools. So they are not willingly. So it is an understanding between the two of you, so he and you or she knew, both of you are putting it there, And today, in the day and age of social media and everything, there are very few outreaches where people are not aware that what is happening. When you point the camera and take an image, what is the transaction? Many people are aware what it means today. When I am going to shoot a documentary, right? Like suppose I have to go and shoot Putul Mahmood Mela, right? 10 lakh people come there. Now I have to go and shoot the documentary. Now I can't predict and I can't control the movement of people, what they're going to do. So whatever they're doing, I'm having to shoot with it. So it's chaotic in that sense, right? So in that chaos, I'm looking for similarities. I'm looking for patterns, right? Now when I'm going to shoot a fiction film, set is mine, the actors rehearse by mine, the costume is mine, everything is fixed. The pattern is fixed. So what I'm doing there, I'm looking for the chaos. Yeah. So in that situation, the pattern becomes the interior In this situation, the chaos becomes the interior. Exterior, interior. That way. So you have yourself said it. For me, what is happening is that when I'm as a filmmaker, I don't see myself as the principal mover and shaker of the situation. Well, I'm not God. I'm not determining morality or something. The group is, and I'm trying to fit in. You get it? So I'm a subject myself. So my morality in the interactions with everybody, nobody is lower, they are not under my control. Whoever you're working with in a film, they are not under your control, boss. Each time you are having to negotiate morality. Without having negotiated morality, you wouldn't have reached there of being allowed to shoot people and having some money and paying people. Without having crossed the basic requirement of morality in society, you wouldn't have reached that point. So this is a very, I think you are sort of, তুমি ভীষণ বেশি দায়িত্ব নিচ্ছ মূল জিনিসের, মানে যেটা তোমার যে জিনিসে তোমার দায়িত্ব নেওয়ার দরকার নেই, তুমি সেই জিনিসের দায়িত্বটা নেওয়ার চেষ্টা করছো। তুমি যদি নিজেকে সামলাতে পারো আর সবার সাথে রিলেশনশিপটা ঠিক রাখতে পারো, নিজের কথাটা যদি বলতে পারো, দ্যাট ইজ দ্য টেস্ট অফ how you have conducted yourself. Being moral, these are, I get very fearful when these questions are posited in absolutes, because these are all moving in time, in motion. You have to negotiate it. It has to be done. It's an action, morality is. So in your conduct, if you are able to collate with people, work with them, get a project through, you know, I don't think without morality you can achieve that. It is not just a question of you versus the subject morality. It's a question of each individual there. It's a maze of morality. You know, and when you put your film here, you have gone through that maze of morality and been able to do. Otherwise, it's not possible for you to, in society, to have made a product without entering into moral transactions with people. That's a huge load by itself, by the way.
What is it that the film is looking at, choosing to look at? You know, like for example, the subject is could be an empowered subject in many ways. But if I am only looking at the victimhood of that subject, then I'm making a particular choice. So that choice, I think, can be discussed. You know, I mean, because that's a political act also. That you're looking at the victimhood of, you know, looking at somebody as a victim, but not looking at where that person is empowered. As an audience of that film, or as a person who reads that film, I might want to consider questions of what is it that is being said. I think that the politics of that can be talked about and questioned.